The second Intra African Trade Fair 2021 will be taking place in Durban from the 15th to the 21st of November. And in preparation for Durban, there have been a number of roadshows across the continent, hosted in Ghana, Kenya, Cape Town and Durban. Well, today they were in Egypt, in Cairo, where KZN MEC for Economic Development and Tourism and Environmental Affairs Ravi Pillay assured delegates there that despite the challenges that may have been presented by COVID-19, the Durban Fair will be a success. Now, $40 billion in trade and investment deals are expected to be concluded in Durban, where over 10,000 conference delegates and trade investors and over 1,000 exhibitors from 55 countries, mostly African, are expected to attend. Well, to discuss this, we're now joined via Zoom from Cairo by Yusuf Daya, who's Director at the AfCFTA Relations and Trade Policy and African Export-Import Bank. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Peter, and thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here.
All right, so all roads lead to Durban, but you were in Cairo today where the first Intra-Africa Trade Fair took place. What was communicated at the roadshow today?
Thanks. Today's event in Cairo was essentially a continuation of a series of roadshows that we've been convening to promote the Intra-African Trade Fair 2021. The trade fair, which is jointly organized by the African Export-Import Bank, the African Union and the AfCFTA Secretariat, will hold from the 15th to the 21st of November in Durban. And as one of the largest economies on the continent, Egypt plays a leading role in driving intra-African trade and investment. Egypt also hosted the inaugural trade fair in 2018, and Egyptian businesses have taken a keen interest and understanding of the immense potential and opportunities that intra-African trade and investment presents. In fact, if we look in 2019, the year following the first trade fair hosted by Egyptian exports to Africa increased from $2.3 billion to almost $4 billion, just demonstrating the value of this unique platform to facilitate trade and investment. So today's event in Cairo was intended to maximize stakeholders' awareness, especially the business community, and to assist them to prepare to participate effectively in Durban. The roadshow was also meant to mobilize exhibitors, sponsors, delegates, buyers, visitors, and support for IATF 2021.
So you've got this ambitious target of $40 billion in terms of business that can be generated from Durban's trade fair. How will you be able to achieve that? I mean, we've got a whole world that's been disrupted by COVID-19. This is quite a large number. Is it achievable?
We believe it is. We believe that despite the challenges that COVID has posed, IATF 2021 will be bigger and better. I think there's a hunger and an appetite for business to resume and for us to go back to normal economic activity. And also what we've learned from 2018 has helped inform how we organize this year's preparations. The success we had in Cairo has helped establish the IATF as a recognized brand, which has now emerged as the premier trade event on the continent. Also, the interest we're seeing in IATF 2021 is surpassing what we saw in 2018. And it gives us the confidence that we'll be able to reach our targets. So, for instance, at the end of September, we had already issued 1,073 exhibitor contracts against our target of 1,100. And this already exceeds the exhibitors we had in Cairo. Almost 12,000 square meters of exhibition space has been taken up. 24 African countries have confirmed country pavilions, and 4 countries have already confirmed country days. We aim to reach 10,000 visitors at the trade fair, and we hope that the target of 40 billion will be achievable. 32 billion in Cairo was the first attempt. We believe 40 billion is quite achievable given the opportunities that exist in the continent.
Yeah, the opportunities since then, of course, include the African Continental Free Trade area. I just wonder if behavior has changed since Cairo in terms of people trading within the continent. I think there's an accepted norm that around 16% of trade on the continent is intra-African, which means there's enormous potential. But has the behavior changed? Have we stopped trading with the rest of the world and started to trade more intra-Africa since Cairo, or is there still a lot of work to be done?
I think there's still a lot of work to be done, Peter, but certainly there is a move towards it. I think what the COVID pandemic showed us, at least in the very early stages of the pandemic, is that our reliance on external partners placed us in a very precarious position for simple things like PPE and basic items to protect us against the pandemic. We were scrambling. International partners closed their borders, and Africa was left at the end of the table. We then used that to again motivate the case for intra-African trade. And while the AfCFTA was signed in 2018, trading under the agreement has only commenced this year. So we anticipate the increase in trade to come in the course of the next few years. We know that intra-African trade has remained stubbornly low at around 14 to 16% since 2000. It continues to expose Africa to global volatility in terms of trade shocks. The signing of the agreement, the entry into force of the agreement, the establishment of the Intra African Trade Fair in 2018, and now as a biannual event, promises to unlock the potential of this continental free trade area, creating an integrated market of 1.2 billion people with a combined GDP of over 3 trillion. Africa's huge demographic dividend, its large consumer market, and its growing disposable income holds enormous potential for boosting intra-African trade. So we are quite confident that in the coming years, intra-African trade will increase significantly.
All right, $32 billion, you said, was concluded in Cairo 3 years ago. What sort of trade came out of that? What sectors, what areas of trade seem to be the ones that are making headway?
Well, we saw quite a variety of sectors and areas of interest. I think particular areas where enormous potential exists were in the construction industries, the manufacturing industries, energy, as well as in tourism and services-related financial services industries. What happened in IATF 2018 demonstrated the enormous potential that exists. The president of the bank, Professor Orama, today highlighted that over $32 billion worth of deals were concluded in Cairo. And while not all these deals were financed or facilitated by the African Export-Import Bank, we have taken efforts to ensure that we monitor their progress. So to date, 75% of those deals, worth $24.17 billion, are under implementation, while 8% of those deals are still under process or negotiation. However, I think what is also important to note is that in addition to those impressive numbers, some of the historic deals that were concluded, the historic nature of the deals that were closed at IATF demonstrates the potential that exists for Africans to take their future development into their own hands. For instance, it was at the IATF 2018 that the largest intra-African engineering procurement and construction contract in an amount of $2.9 billion was sealed between two Egyptian companies and the government of Tanzania. This contract, the first of its kind, fully financed by African banks only, is currently under implementation, and on completion will deliver 2,100 megawatts of clean energy to Tanzania, create over 6,000 jobs in both Tanzania and Egypt, control flash floods in Tanzania, and improve access to clean water. I think this is just a demonstration that Africa has the resources, the capacity, the financing, as well as the ability to do their own deals and develop the continent.
All right, and perhaps finally, if you could just briefly answer this. The African Continental Free Trade Area is much talked about. In these deals at the end of the year that people put together, will they be able to use some of the unlocking that the AfCFTA brings to the party?
Yes, certainly. The AfCFTA negotiations are currently ongoing to implement tariff phase-down schedules as well as to liberalize the services sector. So those opportunities will exist for traders to create market access opportunities across the continent. We believe it will provide a key to unlock the potential of a number of trade opportunities that do exist. Obviously, the way the agreement is structured, it will be phased in, but we do expect an initial reduction in tariffs and a liberalization of services that will facilitate trade in the near future.
And I suppose people can go onto your website if they want to find out more about this trade fair, be part of it, and visit.
Yes, certainly. Registration is still open. We call on all exhibitors, countries, public and private sector entities, buyers, delegates, as well as visitors to register and participate and take advantage of all the IATF has to offer. It is more than just a trade fair. We have a trade and investment conference. We have an automotive show, a creative show, a youth startup program. So it offers a variety of opportunities for all those interested. And more details are available on our website, which is www.intraafricantradefair.com.
All right, and that's where we'll leave it. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. And yeah, we'll see all of you in Durban, no doubt, at the end of the year. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
All right, okay, so all roads lead to Durban, the second Intra-Africa Continental Free Trade Trade Fair takes place, and thousands of exhibitors and business worth $40 billion should be concluded. That's the ambition. That was Yusuf Daya speaking to us.